Welcome back. Well, we're at game 2 now, and I'm up against Chris with his Black Hand Space Marines. And Chris got a draw in his previous game while I got a loss, so I'm not too sure why we're playing each other, but still quite happy to get a fairly generic and what looks like to be a soft list for my second game. This is a Spearhead mission with the deployment, so you can see these armies in the two corners, on the two sort of diagonally opposite table, quadrants. But the mission is a special random objectives mission where you don't know where the objectives are going to be until turns 2, 3, and 4, and at the beginning of each turn 2, 3, and 4 round, the objectives come down one at a time randomly. Now what you do is you take the point from the center of the field, roll the scatter dice, and then 6d6, and the objective shows up there as a sort of 2-inch template. If you roll a hit on the scatter dice, it's half the distance, but if it lands on one of your troops, it's a Strength 9 AP2 hit, which is painful, so we were both pretty nervous that was going to happen. I think that, to be honest, the objectives should really not do that much damage, and there should also be a rule that if you land one objective within 12 inches of the other one, you have to re-roll it until it comes down somewhere else, just to avoid one person hogging all the objectives just due to luck. But anyway, I've deployed everything on the left-hand sort of side here with just the obliterators on the other side of the field on the ruins there, and he's just deployed in a big formation right in the center there. Going to the next photo, you can see his army. He's got 8 Terminators. One of them's got an assault cannon, and the rest of them have just got power fists. So the sergeant's got a power weapon, and the librarians joined them, and of course he's got the Gate of Infinity, or whatever you call it, so he can teleport around. Plus the dreads with the autocannons and the Master of Forge, 4 squads and rhinos, and that's it. Next image, I've got the obliterators over here, just looking to take some pot shots with las cannons, possibly heavy plasma cannons on the Terminators, depending on what sort of opportunity I get. But Chris did deploy first, so chances are I will not be able to steal the initiative. Next photo, the Demon Prince just cowering behind the Land Raider like he normally does, just to avoid being shooting. All those assault cannons probably do quite well to blast him and pick off a couple of wounds on him early, because he really just loves fighting Terminators and Marines in close combat, just does such great damage. Next image again, he does take the first turn and teleports his Terminators over here so that he can start ripping into my obliterators with Stormbolter and Assault Cannon fire, and then later on move forward and assault them in close combat. So that's what he's decided to do early on with his squad. Other photo, he's fanned his rhinos out, just popping smokes in the 2 in the middle, but the other 2 going the opposite directions and shelling away with me with his dreadnoughts to begin with, and in fact popping one of my rhinos very earlier on. So going to the next photo, you can see the result, the Marines spilling out around the other sides of the rhinos just into the terrain. So they're going to be on foot for the rest of the game, but it's just going to depend on where the objectives come down, because if they come around on my board, then that'll save them a lot of hassle, but if they come around on his board, they're not going to be able to get them over there in time. Next image, the Land Raider just moving out full bore straight into him, because autocannons aren't going to do anything against that, and he'll have to commit one of the melter guns from the Marine squads close by if he wants to do that, and if he does, well, I'll just be able to start hacking into him with the Terminators. One of the rhinos going the opposite way around the terrain center and the terrain point in the middle, and the Defiler just content to fire off a couple of battle cannon shots to begin with. Also got the Zerkers going around to the left. Next image, the first objective has been dropped, and it slams down right behind his lines, well protected here, so all he needs to do is just back up with that rhino and he's got the objective. I'm going to have to be very aggressive with my Land Raider to come over and contest this one, so that's going to be the plan from now on. Land Raider going straight for this one and stopping him from holding it at the end. Next image, the Terminators just shunt forward and start assaulting here at the obliterators, popping off many rounds against them. But in retaliation, if you go to the next photo, after he's destroyed the obliterators in close combat, I counterattack with not only the Demon Prince, but also a nearby squad of Chaos Space Marines jumping out of the vehicle, and the Defiler getting his thorny claw, shall we say, his steel claw into their faces as well. So this was a great combat for me, just shredding the Terminators as much as possible, and forced his Librarian to use Gate of Infinity out of the combat, leaving the Terminators behind to die. So that's me netting a little point for getting his most expensive unit in the game. Each round you get basically 1 bonus point for killing the most expensive HQ, most expensive unit, getting a unit in your enemy's deployment zone at the end, a scoring unit that is, and having no enemy units in your deployment zone, so that's a 1-up for me. Next image, the Land Raider goes screaming ahead 12 inches and rams his Rhino, and I think I got a weapon destroyed result or something silly from that. But turns out if you ram a Rhino with your Land Raider at full movement, you do a strength 9 hit, which is pretty good. So that allows you to make some progress across the battlefield while still putting out some hits. So happy with that one. Very cool photo. Next image, the second objective comes down, and it comes down right behind my Rhino, my Land Raider, sorry, in front of my wrecked Rhino, and the Marines on the train in the middle can move over and capture that. So that's going to be quite cool. The objective also counts as a crater, so it's cover, and in the background you can see my other Marines hacking away at his Terminators. So they've got a long run ahead of them over the next few turns just to come across the battlefield, possibly in their own Rhino, but help out over here if they are needed. Next image, we've still got the combat raging on, Librarian down to 1 wound, and of course with the second turn going on, it's preventing my guys from, doing much in terms of movement. But no, actually I think this only took 2 combat rounds to complete, but at the end of the day I managed to get him. Next image, here's this Librarian, cowardly teleporting away behind some rocks with 1 wound on him, getting out the band-aids and waiting for an opportunity to get back in the game. Next image, though, the Dreadnoughts just continue to be shooting away and really not achieving much this game. They've been slamming tons of shells into the side of my Rhino, just not doing anything. Occasionally shooting at the Defiler, not hurting that either. So all the points that he's got tied up in this big sort of fortress of a formation, not really doing much. Next image, my guys are moving across the terrain and firing a long-range melter shot at his Dreadnought, not doing any damage there, and my Land Raider just swiveling around a bit to try and get through, popping off some smokes and firing its las cannons with very little effect. Next image, the Demon Prince is now free, so it's swooped over here to put the bash on one of these Rhinos, which Chris had put over this side of the battlefield just in case an objective came down there. So quite happy that the Demon Prince has been left unassailed by the autocannons this game, able to put in some real hurt in his guys. So next image, the second objective comes down, and rather unfairly it comes down on my side of the board. So this pretty much gives me a big advantage of the game, meaning that if I can successfully get the Land Raider across to his other objective and contest it, I can just put all of my squads over here on these objectives. I've even got my Berserkers sitting tight in a Rhino there, just waiting for an opportunity to do something, and my other Marines have packed back up in the other Rhino on the top right of the corner. I've got the Defiler as well, so it's going to be quite easy for me to come over here, but if the game ends too quickly I might not be able to get back in time. Next image, the Demon Prince has popped the Rhino with slashing attacks and has an opportunity here to start wailing on these Marines. Now the Marines have got 2 choices: either they attack they stand there and shoot at the Demon Prince, or they walk back towards the objective behind his lines, because at the moment he might need more than 1 scoring unit if he's going to hold off the Terminators. Next image, here's what happens. The Land Raider screams around, goes about 10 inches, and rams the Rhino, which he had sitting back behind his lines, and again destroys it, which was awesome because it forced these guys out. In fact, it wrecked it. And in the next photo, the Terminators say hello, and they unload, and they assault the Marines, completely slashing their guts and their brains and their eyes out with all sorts of manner of goodness. So things going really well for me at this point. Next image, the Berserkers have just driven on top of that one objective. There's 2 Marine squads surrounding them, and they've got melter guns, so the Berserkers just hoping for an opportunity to assault, but I've got my backup here in the form of a Defiler and another Chaos Space Marine squad coming around, the track. Next image, he's got his guys moving forward, trying out some melter gun shots, but I believe not actually managing to pop that Rhino in the end. In fact, no, he did pop it with combined fire from them and the autocannons. So here we go. The Berserkers end up in the crater. There's only 3 of them left. He's picked off at them with his guns, and they're still contesting and holding the objective though. So if the game had ended at this point, it would have been 1 to me, 0 to him, and I would have won. But the game continued. Next image, he's turned around with his Tech Marine, his Master of the Forge, and he's blapping me with flamers and plasma pistols and all sorts of goodness, but the Terminators just get to sit there. I'm not even going to bother assaulting him, because if they just stay there, they're in cover, and they won't get hit by the Tech Marine's Power Fist attacks. And at this point, if they just need to stay there, because if the game ends, they've got the objective contested just in case he comes across. Next image, the Defiler moves in around now, and he's really got a choice to make. He needs to move on to the objective to contest them, but because I started second, I'll always have the last turn, so I can assault him and do whatever I want if he decides to put the move in. Next image, what he does here is he unloads after I pop one of his rhinos and moves all squads onto the objectives and fires his guns at the Berserkers and my Space Marines. I think one melter gun into the Defiler, and not managing to sort it out. So the next photo after that, you can see the Terminator's hanging tight on the objective. He's moving his last squad over here. I didn't nail him with the Demon Prince because after I'd wiped out the Rhino, the Demon Prince was urgently needed elsewhere in the field. Actually, no, I think he took down the Demon Prince in the end. No, he shot it. He shot it to death with the autocannon. So that's what happened. And he's desperately trying to head his squad over there to get onto the objective and hopefully get the Terminators off it. Next image, though, I've got things ready for a counterattack, and swarms of Chaos Space Marines start pouring out of the Rhinos, and we start with a mega assault onto the Loyalist Space Marines here. The Defiler also in combat. Next photo shows a huge, massive brawl that the Berserkers are in there as well, and this is what Chaos Space Marines do best. Just a big pile and scrum with multiple models on side, with my guys having way more attacks than he does, and a Defiler in there to boot. So predictably, just trashing them, and these are the remnants of his squads actually falling back here. He's got one sergeant and 3 Marines from the other squad falling back, and a Rhino there as well, which I managed to wreck or pop as well, getting me those 2 objectives. In the next photo, he's moved over to the Land Raider with his Marines, not managed to pop that either. And next photo after that, I'm just assaulting his Rhino, and that's basically it. So, great game. I managed to get a pretty big victory out of that, boosting me back into the runnings and giving me probably a tougher opponent for the third game. But hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a really fun game that time.